What is up, YouTube? And today we have another announcement by Etheria Restart Twitter, or also, by the devs of the game. And you can see that they have this update that will be implemented on the 2nd of July. So basically what they said is after previous changes and balance patches, they continue to listen to our feedback and also data that we were pretty much giving them with how we were progressing in the game. And they decided to do another round of balance changes. Not for characters, not nerfing or buffing any units, but what they're doing actually is going to be making the Inferno content a lot easier to make the gate from Hell to Inferno easier. Now people always say, they're still stuck on Hell and they think Hell is too hard. That is just kind of like a time thing. As you actually play more, you'll find that Hell will be a lot more easier for you because obviously you'll get more gear. The biggest thing right now, and the biggest challenge, is honestly the gate from, or the jump from Hell difficulty to Inferno for a lot of the shells and also for thresholds. So what they're actually doing is, first off, they're giving us 100 Hydra Crystals, great, nothing too crazy, but they're reducing Nico Nana's HP, attack, and speed even further than they already did. They already nerfed her in the past, but they're lowering it even more, and I think they're doing this because of the fact that this boss is kind of like the first Inferno area of content you farm, and you start getting really good DPS shells and really good support shells in like White Fang and Artisan. So they decided to actually nerf it more to make it easier for us to get into it, which is a great change. They also nerfed Grim Pursuit Shadow Flame Hoyan, and they're reducing the health, the attack, and also the add damage. I think this is a huge change, right? 15% health is a lot, as we saw with the last set of nerfs. And by nerfing the damage of this boss, it's going to make it so that you don't really have to permanently CC the ads, or you just kind of just die. And if they get 10% resisted, you kind of just get screwed up. But now you can tank a lot more. And this is a great change because Shadow Flame Hoyan also drops a really good shell in Revelation. And will make it so that, we can actually start farming Revelation a lot more easier for newer players. So that's a great change as well. Another thing they're actually doing is they're lowering the difficulty for Doki Doki. Now, in my opinion, I think Doki Doki honestly was like the easiest threshold to get into by a large margin. I think Aurora is the hardest, and Terramaton is like a little bit easier, or a little bit harder than Doki Doki. But now they're nerfing Doki Doki even more, so it's by far the easiest. All monsters' health is reduced by 10%. This is going to make it so that one-shotting the first wave is super doable now. And I think, honestly, this will make Romoka stocks go up. So I think like a big thing they actually know is a lot of content creators, me myself included, I'm also guilty of this, recommended Romoka, right? And that's mostly because Romoka in the beta was super good because in Doki Doki she was a lot easier to gear to one-shot the first wave. But after they actually buffed, Inferno health pools, it got to the point where Romoka is kind of like the hardest DPS to gear for Doki Doki. Now she's still like the fastest and honestly the best later on, but in the beginning of the game, it just felt terrible because you were not one-shotting the first wave in Inferno, much less like even in Hell sometimes, and it just made her feel pretty weak because your runs would actually be very sus when you don't one-shot because of her splash damage, right? So they're nerfing the HP, so it's a lot easier to do that. This will make Doki Doki 1 just easier overall, and also Romoka is going to go up in stock, so whoever like pulled for her on the targeted summon will be able to do Doki Doki a lot easier, which is great. Also, they're nerfing the damage in the Elite Valor, which is the middle ad in the second wave. This guy would like one-shot people, and it's super annoying and made runs very inconsistent. And they're nerfing the damage on this. I didn't expect this, to be honest. I think this is like a pretty good change because this signals to me they actually like know what the problems are in some of the dungeons. So this is a great change. I think like this is like something that was kind of like a nice icing on top. But I didn't really expect them to do this, but they did this as well, so great. Now we're going to get more consistent runs. Also for Ember Trek, they're nerfing some stuff. Sharon's boss health is being reduced in all 3 phases. Sharon is a very hard boss in Ember Trek, so she's getting nerfed. If you're doing it right now and you're struggling, you can wait for the nerfs. 25% is insane, so yeah, it's all phases as well. They're also nerfing the last boss of normal, which is Astardi, whatever her name is. They're reducing effect accuracy so you don't get perma-stunned, and in the second wave, you're taking way less damage. 20% damage reduced, which is huge, and this also signals to me they know, or they actually listened to some feedback about what was problematic. Now for Anasync Echoes, Heinrich, the Heinrich stage, I think it's like 27. The speed of the monsters goes up like the mobs around Heinrich is like 310 or something crazy. It spikes insanely high. So they're actually nerfing the speed by 5%, and for Nightmare, they're nerfing it by 7%. I guess, yeah, 7%. So Heinrich's speed's going down. So also a big nerf. If you think about it, if their speed was at 310, even a 5% nerf is going to drop it to like 290-ish. So that's a big nerf, and it makes it a lot more doable. So overall, I think these changes are amazing. And honestly, yes, they need to do more changes, like with, for example, a Rango, the shell boss, the last one, definitely needs a nerf. Aurora probably will eventually get a nerf. Maybe not actually, because this will let us get better gear, or like the majority of the player base to get better gear. But there's other stuff that needs to be tackled, such as, you know, increased currency and stuff like that. But I think this is a step in the right direction. And even though they didn't do like a huge patch with all the fixes all at once, I think they wanted to release at least something in this week. So they decided to focus on just nerfing the difficulty, and they'll probably eventually, you know, buff the drop rates on stuff like that in the future. So, you know, if you guys are feeling down because, you know, still the drop rates are bad, I'm sure they're still talking about it, and they just wanted to get out one set of fixes for now, and probably the next set of fixes will probably be something with the currency in the next week or two, which will be great for the game. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this. I think this is a great change for the game. It's a good step in the right direction. Hopefully they decide to buff the drop rates for, you know, training data, coins, and stuff like that. And, you know, 3 matrix, what's it called, modules, and, you know, the shells, the epic shells not dropping. But time will only tell, and I'm pretty sure they'll do it eventually, so just have to be patient and wait, and be pretty happy with the changes we got for now, because I'm sure more are to come based off of, you know, just based off what they're nerfing. It's very clear that they kind of know what the issues are in the game. But thanks for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next video.